Hi, I'm Jingyi Zhu.
Hi, I'm Yannan Fei.
We would like to present our multi-client chat application. On the server side of our application, we use Python Flask to handle HTTP requests and Flask Socket I/O to handle TCP communication. On the client side, we use JavaScript and jQuery to dynamically modify HTML elements to deal with AJAX requests and to handle TCP communication. We mainly use Bootstrap for styling, and everything that happens in our chat app are stored at the server.
First, we would like to present a brief overview of our application. All the detailed installation and usage will be introduced later in a live demo. Our application requires every user to register with a unique username and a password. Users can then log in to the chat system. Once logged in, the user will see the main interface of the chat system composed of two panels. The left panel provides a logout button and a list of chat rooms which the user is in. By clicking on one of the rooms, the user can go directly into the room and start chatting. The right panel has two versions, the user home version and the chat interface version. On the home page, the user can join an existing chat room if it is not full. User can also create a new chat room with the users he selects, and he must provide a room name. The room could be set as public or private. One room can have at most 5 users. Once a user goes to a chat room, he could go back to home page using search button, or he can leave this room. Users can send a public message or a private message using the drop-down menu. Public messages and private messages are displayed differently in the chat box. There are also 8 emojis that the user could send. Chat history button is used for viewing chat histories that were sent before the user started chatting in the room. For rooms that the user is not chatting in, if there are new messages, a notification will be displayed on the left panel.
Let's look at a live demo of our application. First, we install our multi-client chat application. We go into the directory. You can use one single command, make, or you can export the path to Flask app, install all the libraries, and start the server running. We open one browser for one user and go to localhost port 5000. We try to log in with a non-existent user, and the server tells us to register. So we register a user with a unique username. User A already exists, so we register with other usernames, and then log in.
We have entered the user home and we can see a list of active users. To start chatting, user A creates a public room with users B and C. The invited users will see the invitation and will be added to the room automatically. To go back to the user home from the chat interface, we can click on the search button. We can also create a private room for users A and B. User C cannot see the room private AB in his or her user home. If we create a new public chat room public AB, user C will be able to see it and join it. Our server saves all the rooms which the user has joined, so when you log out and log back in, you can still see the rooms.
A user can remove him or herself from a chat room by clicking on Leave this room button. When all the users in the room have left, the room will be deleted immediately. Now C is the only user in the room public AB. If C leaves, this room will be deleted right away at the server. However, since the list of existing rooms and active users are retrieved by sending periodic AJAX requests, there can be deprecated information. Our server gracefully handles the deprecated information sent by the users. Now let's see how messaging works in our chat app. The chat interface has a drop-down menu of all the active users in the chat room. It is updated when a user's status changes. Users can send public messages to all the users in the chat room. They can also select a user and send private messages to him or her in the chat room. Public messages can be seen by everyone in the chat room, but private messages can only be seen by the target user. Users can also send emojis publicly or privately in the chat rooms. The emojis are provided by the server. Now let's see how message notifications work. User A leaves the room public ABC, but users B and C are still chatting in that room. User A receives message notification for those new messages in its left panel. User A clicks on the room public ABC to view the unread messages. If there are fewer than 10 unread messages, we will also display the history messages. Now user A has 12 unread messages for room public ABC, so only the unread messages are displayed. We also have a chat history feature. Users can click on the chat history button to view all the messages exchanged before he or she started chatting in the current chat room. 10 pieces of history messages are displayed at a time, and the users can click on the previous or the next button to retrieve more history messages.
The chat rooms have a user number limit. In this presentation, it is set to 5. Because the room public ABC is not full yet, the users D, E, and F can see it. After users E and F have joined it, D will not be able to join it anymore. User cannot create a room with more than 5 people either.
Our application uses the MVC model as our architecture. Our server as the controller modifies and accesses the objects. It also updates the view at the front end. Our client displays the updates, captures user actions, and sends requests to the controller. Next, I'll talk about the abstract TCP communication model of our app. The server manages all the rooms for the client's TCP connections. Let's look at an example. To join an existing room, room 1, client 1 emits an add room event to the server. The server adds client 1 to room 1 and broadcasts to everyone in the room that client 1 has been added. To go to room 1 and start chatting, client 1 emits a join room event. The server sets client 1's current room to room 1 and tells client 1 about it. Now client 1 wants to create a new room with client 2 and 3. Client 1 begins by emitting a create room event. The server creates the new chat room, room 2. It adds client 1 to room 2 and sends invitations to client 2 and 3 through socket 2 and 3. Upon receiving the invitation, client 2 and 3 automatically asks the server to add them to room 2.
To send public messages, client 1 sends a message to the server specifying the room ID. The server then broadcasts the message to the target room. The client side will decide whether to display or to buffer the message. When sending private messages, client 1 specifies the target clients and the target room. The server performs validations on the message by checking whether the target user is active and is in the target room. If the message is valid, the server sends the message to the target clients and to the sender through their sockets. For future improvements, we can add more features. We have recorded the timestamp of every message so we can display it in the chat box. We would also like to add a room owner to each room so that the owner could manage the activities of this room. We also plan to allow users to send their own emojis. And in order to improve the security, we could add RSA encryption while sending messages.
Thank you.